All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are back. We are continuing on with our look through the triennial Torah portion this week. We're going to look at, I think, 2 chapters here. We'll see if we get through the 2 chapters. Genesis 20 and Genesis 21. I think we'll just go ahead and read chapter 20. Yeah. We're going to read chapter 20 and we will about it after. Okay, let me go ahead and pull up over here. Genesis 20. Let's see here. Okay. All right. You go ahead and read Genesis 20. You can read it off of here if you want.
Oh, here it is. Genesis 21.
Verse 1.
All right. So
Nice and loud.
What?
Nice and loud. Yeah.
Shalom. And Abraham set out from there to the land of the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. And Abraham said concerning Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. And Amalek sovereign, Amalek sovereign of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But Elohim came to Amalek in a dream by night and said to him, see, you are a dead man because you have taken, for she is a man's wife. However, Amalek had not come near her. Abimelech cannot come near her and say, Yah, would you kill a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in the innocence of my hand, I have done this. And Elohim said to him in a dream, yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart. And so I kept you from sinning against me. For this reason, I did not let you touch her. And now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and let him pray for you, and you live. But if you do not return her, know that you shall certainly die. And you and all that is yours. So Amalek in the morning and called all his servants and spoke all these words in their hearing. And the men were greatly frightened. And Amalek called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? And what have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me and on my ring a great sin? You have done matters to me that should not be done. And Amalek said to Abraham, what did you have in view that you have done this matter? And Abraham said, only because I said to myself, the fear of Elohim is not in this place, and they shall kill me for the sake of my wife. And yet, she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to be, when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, this is your loving commitment that you should do for me in every place, wherever we go. Say of me, he is my brother. The Amalek took sheep and cattle and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham and his returns, and returned Sarah his wife to him. And Amalek said, see, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it is good in your eyes. And Sarah, he said, see, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. See, it is to you a covering of eyes before all who are with you and before all others. And you are clear before everyone. And Abraham prayed to Elohim, and Elohim healed Amalek and his wife and his female servants, so they bore children. For Yah had closed up the womb of the house of Amalek because of Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Okay, very good.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so there's a couple things that we see over here when we look at this, what happened with Abraham going through this place and meeting up with Abimelech. So first of all, when we look at this individual, before the last time we saw Abraham doing this thing where he's going through these strange lands, and being fearful that these people will take his wife. The last place was Egypt. So we hear about and know about just from scripture also the great power that Egypt was. So you can kind of get a type of understanding of Abraham's apprehensions as he's going through these strange, powerful lands. But here, as he's going through this place, meeting up with Abimelech, it says the king of Gerar. Basically, I think when we look at the land, I should have got some maps. When we look at the land, how it is, where it has the what's that? The Mediterranean Sea that it borders there. The land that touches the border, now we know it as Israel, but at the time, I think the land close is actually the coast land, is where the Philistines were, like the people who we read about, like with David and all of those characters fought against those people, and before the Canaanites was in that land, the Philistines were in that space. But when you think about it in the scope of things, I'm not sure of the size and power of those particular peoples, especially since you have, like, when we think about Egypt, for instance, as we go through the scriptures, we see how you could really see how they were kind of this powerhouse, and everything basically went through them. But when you look at that little area over there, like where Israel is, well, what became Israel, it's not a big space. So you had these people who Abimelech was the king of, and now we're talking about like what we know of as Israel. I'm pretty sure that land, like half of it, so cutting Israel like in half was this place that Abraham was going to, I'm saying in size, where, you know, he had again these apprehensions about going in and these people taking his beautiful wife. Which, you know, which is interesting to me, especially since we just get finished seeing where Abraham goes in and rescues his nephew, you know, from these people. So I don't know what that speaks to. I don't know if it speaks to the power of the people that he fought. Maybe they were like a lesser group. I don't really know what the dynamic of those people was. But there just seems to be some kind of it's like a difference. Like when there was like this thing, this potential, well, imminent danger. His nephew was taken. He was going to get him. Maybe if we say they went and did it at night, it gave them an advantage or whatever. But it just seems as if Abraham and his people, to some degree, were skillful at war. And then when he goes into this land, like if we look on and find Gerar on the map, it's like a little city. It's like a little space of land. So I'm just wondering, you know, how it is that Abraham gets to this place of I don't know what to say other than fear, in you know, in relation to these people, where he just, you know, he gives his wife away. He allows for her to be taken because of her beauty. Yet again, that these things are, you know, kind of troubling to me because I don't really understand when we look at the different sides of Abraham, where we see instances of him being like this warrior uh, who has these trained individuals. And then when we go and see him in his travels, you can almost give him a pass with Egypt, but this other place, when you look up this word Gerar over here in the in the Strong's, here, let me pull this up. Uh, this place here, they're calling it a Philistine town south of Gaza. So that again, that this guy's the king of. So I don't know if he's just a king of this town where these Philistine people are. Again, when we look at Philistine, it's basically, if we can visualize Israel as it touches the coast, if you was to just take it basically and cut it in half, That's the place where God's Philistine is. So now you taking this half of the land of Israel and then a small town inside of it where this king is, where he goes to, and Abraham gives away his wife again. Now, when we think about these people, there's some other interesting things that we see in relation to the people. Abimelech being the king of these people. I don't know if we look at verse 4, actually, verse 4, where it says, however, Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Yahweh, would you kill a righteous nation also? So we see, first of all, that if we go back to verse 3, where Elohim is actually going to Abimelech in a dream, to the point where it's not as if Abimelech is just hearing things in a dream, like he actually knows who it is that's coming to him in a dream. Right, verse 3 says Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night. And verse 4 says, however, Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, this is what Abimelech said, Yahweh, would you kill a righteous nation also? Okay, that doesn't cause anybody to think about anything. Because it causes me to think about some things. Because first of all, when we think about, we talk about Israel, we talk about Abraham, of course, being the forefather of Israel, um, the founding father, this one who was called out. Obviously, he wasn't the only one who the Most High was dealing with. He couldn't have been. Case in point, you have Abimelech pleading to the Most High, who he recognizes as Yahweh in a dream, and he's at least claiming to be a righteous nation.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
When you read three, verse 4, he said, "We should kill a righteous man." Abraham didn't even know. He assumed that they didn't know that the king and them didn't know or serve Yahweh. That's why he did it.
Yeah. Well, he even says that he did assume that they didn't know, but I'm saying, I guess, how did they know? What?
During them times, they get stuff based on word of mouth. It's kind of like when the messages came in, the two messages that came in, so people were had saved, they knew about the idea, but they still didn't hear. Those people that were getting ready to get slain, they seen
Yeah.
and the messages, Rahab get the message, they knew about the Most High. A lot of those people that we were coming up against knew about our God. They just didn't hear it. So I give this rule. They probably heard before me through the testimonies of the generation we came from. They knew they had to.
Well, I'm saying they obviously had to have known, but I'm saying that they was also, again, unless he's making false accusations about his own self, he's claiming to be righteous, or have this king over this righteous nation, which we later find out, which later we see ends up being the Philistines. But at least at this time over here, at least if we're just going to limit it to this, him being the king of this little province, this little city, he knew the Most High, and he had an understanding. If he's going to say that he was righteous, he had an understanding of what righteousness is.
That's the way he spoke to him. He addressed him,
Yeah. So
and he feels sick.
yeah, he knew. It wasn't like he was just speaking to some nameless God or something. Yeah.
So he had to make himself known to Nebuchadnezzar. He was the same way with him.
Yeah.
Righteous nation. He considered his nation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they up under him. They up under him.
Yeah.
Righteous nation also.
Yeah, in other words, that's like if let me give you a prime example and put it in today's term. Let's say Jonathan and Ebony. They come into my kingdom, and Jonathan takes it upon himself to tell me that that's his sister without me knowing that that's his actual wife. I take it upon myself, say, "Oh, she look good. I want her," So I try to get with her, but of course, the Most High intervenes and show me these things, and I'm telling him, "Hey, am I not righteous? Look, am I not righteous? What have I done? I don't know. I didn't know this. He told me it was a sister." And y'all said, "That's why I did not let you touch her, so you would not commit no sin." In other words, I agree with you, but I intervened for this reason because he didn't tell you. So I'm telling you. You understand? So I understand that Abraham might have been frightened, fearful for his life, but that's a touchy subject because in actuality, Abraham did lie. I mean, he didn't really lie, but he was sort of like not telling them that this is my wife. This didn't belong to me. No, he really didn't lie because he says it's my sister. But in the formality of not bringing forth the truth, it's like a white line of lying. Withheld information is a hint of deception. So, but I don't know what was actually going through Abraham's mind. I only know what the precept's saying. So if I go any further, subject to speculation myself,
Back to last week, story. Like, why would he do that?
Right.
But he feared for his life.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna kill me.
That's
Or this woman.
That's kind of like borderline not trusting. Like,
Not trusting the Most High to protect him.
And look, I almost had that situation this past week. I told you, like, some girl in school set a French fry on my daughter. Like, set a French fry on her face.
What?
So my daughter's practical. And I didn't think nothing of it after she's just like, putting that on her face and doing about her
Business, yeah.
and she called me worried, like she's pointing at me, her friends is pointing at me now, she's mad. Not gonna let no fight. At first I told her, like, okay, well, here's 40-year record, you feel like saying that, don't let her walk by that. Hit her. So she's at lunch now. She didn't end up. So look, I'm sitting there thinking like, I don't know, maybe you gotta make that shit mistake. That's so
And you gave her permission.
so look, she was texting me like a little bit later. No, she was texting me a little bit later, like, they're fighting and jumping me, so I'm mad at daddy's messed up. So I'm mad at daddy's like messed up, like, they don't know that now.
Right.
And I text her like, well, you sure they say that you should mad at me because they're putting at you.
Right.
She's like, well, I don't know if they're saying that, but they keep putting at me, like they're making me keep talking like each other look at me. So I first got text her like, well, I'm gonna meet you at the bus stop. But then I'm like, I know it wasn't what the most time was like, well, if all she did was snap the ball and put a frown on her, why do you feel like I'm gonna allow her to get jumped? Like, when that's basically the defense. So I'm not gonna allow, like, and that's the way I end up calling her, like, what's this mask at prayer? And I told her why not to worry. She said she couldn't calm down. So I'm like, let's pray. And I'm like, do you feel like we did this raid the night before in the ocean? Some battle in towards that answer, like, when she took her house, when you go to hit her. She said, yeah, so why are you upset? You know what I mean? Like, if you think he's going to actually let some girls bump you because you defended yourself of her sitting in French brother. She said, no. She said, I'm like, I ain't coming up there. If you do get jumped, I know the aftermath. I'm trusting that you're not going to get jumped about this trivial situation. So she ended up calling me, like, I didn't go up there. She ended up, and I found myself, she ended up calling me, like, when I went down to the bus stop, they walked up the hill, her and her friends. She get the bus stop by herself. She don't have siblings. She's new at the school, but they walked up. So I'm glad I didn't like really let that guy go. I go up there and really initiate something that really in his hand. Like I didn't have him down for letting me talk about that. But I could have went on my own understanding and really went on my own safety precautions and took him to my way. I just trusted that he wouldn't let me go.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, well, when you think about it, I guess if Abraham would have actually consulted with the Almighty about this particular situation, then it would have been different. But it don't seem like he did that.
Right.
It seemed like he just assumes that this. Well, he says it. He says,
Yeah, I'm about to say. That's what happens to us today. You know that?
he said, hold on, sir. He says in verse 11, and Abraham said, only because I said to myself, the fear of Elohim is not in this place, that they shall kill me for the sake of my wife. So he had that thought in his mind, and he just went with the thought that he had and reacted to that.
Right.
If he would have took it to the Almighty, then we already know that the Most High deals with him. So he would have told him.
I know that happened to me in real life. That happened to us today. Because we in this truth, we often walk miraculously in the spiritual form, right? But there comes times when we don't address what we already have within us. There comes a time when we go on our own understanding and don't think outside the box, when we stay in the box. You know, like for instance, there was an incident where I had to go to a certain place about my son. So we're praying about it. I just took upon myself to strap up just to be seen. Not going out there being mysterious and threatening, but I just wanted the appearance of my presence to be seen, and I let the hammer show a little bit. So they can look and be like, oh, snap, that's his dad. Oh, snap. He ain't saying nothing, but I know he made business. So it was like my way of showing them, look, this is my son. Don't cross that line. I'm his dad now. You see what I'm working with, and so to speak. But if I would have took the righteous matters and addressed the Ruach instead of doing that on my own accord, things would have been done differently. Yes, that is the enemy. So that goes to show you that we're still human. You know, Abram is still human. So there's a lot of things that we do, you know, and I'm glad it points that out because everybody in Scripture wasn't 100% perfect. And that needed, because we can relate to them today. I like when scripture does that because it shows weaknesses, it shows strengths, it shows carnalness, it shows spirituality, it shows life, period. So I love it because it's not camouflaging no BS. You know, it's keeping it 100, and I like that.
I think that what we see with Abraham is a process.
Yes, process.
There's a growth
I agree with that.
process where we're able to see the different levels that he goes through with the binding of Isaac kind of being that the pinnacle of the situation where we see where he has these, like here when he has these situations where he isn't moving forward in faith to the fullness, which is good because life is a process. But I really thought that it was interesting that we have these unnamed people that are not attached to Israel, not attached to Abraham, not coming from the place where Abraham came from. But yet and still, when you look at verse 5, it says, "Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she even herself said, he is my brother." But it says right here, "In the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands, I have done this." Right? So we see this Abimelech, this king who's really reasoning with the Almighty, that he recognized as the Almighty, and the case that he's making for himself involves his own innocence and righteousness. And we don't see where the Most High is not saying, "Well, nah, you wicked." He ain't saying that.
He preserved them, like that the scripture makes like he preserved the gift of right. Just being a word of our gift. So I feel like he kind of, I think that was amazing.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I think about the fact that when the Most High makes himself known, he makes himself to be known, and if you see him, and he makes himself available to you. And again, over here we're not talking about people that are connected to Abraham's lineage at all.
That's after Noah. That's after the flood. Then that have been like people. I'm pretty sure that was a big topic. As far as
What, the flood?
with a flood, and this one man and his 3 sons were the only survivors. Like that could have fell on 32 years to where some people might have wanted to seek whoever this man who did survive his son seek his God for himself, since he wasn't connected to him. That could have been like, wasn't that like a big thing? Like that was a big thing.
Yeah, it
Once
was.
upon a time, there was this.
It was kind of a big deal. Yeah, I would
Yeah, like
say.
it probably was. I mean, it probably different stories might have floated around, but for the most part, that's a big thing. Even if it was Noah talking to his son, the words which ones each son went their separate ways, they still know about this flood and they survived. Now, whatever way they went is their own, but by the list of people, somebody righteous or someone that might have been wild, if you do seek for yourself, they might have got whatever they were looking for.
I mean, I think it's one thing. Yes. I think it's one thing to say that they heard of this God who was responsible for the flood, but there's a kind of a knowledge and relationship involved over here. Yeah, just some water. There's a relationship involved over here because again, the Most High has actually made Himself known to this people and potentially the nation. Um, no, Abraham didn't know it, but I don't think that's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is just the fact that you have these other people.
Because there's so many people who think that our nation is the only nation that the Most High deals with. I understand particularly that He chose us, through Abraham as a special people. But what that kind of proves is that He dealt with other people too. And He shined His light on them. He was like that was like a mess like because they only think that our people can be saved. It was to preserve that man from sinning against Him. Like that lets Him know He has a chance at the kingdom.
That's what I'm saying. Even as words unto him saying, would you kill a righteous nature also? Like a whole nother thing, like no one is gonna kill him. So whatever status he dealt with is Elohim. Saving him and his family's life from being caught up in the whole flood. So whoever this people was, had to have known that. Or whoever was I'm not saying it was young, like somebody that placed was held down to them. Whoever it was probably wanted to be like his utterless greatness. Have powers at.
Well, your players always show this stuff to other people because even with Elijah, who ran, he still, he's the only one that didn't bow your knee down. So that shows me right here, all through the Bible that, y'all have always said a remnant.
I mean, it makes sense when with others because we were His creation. This notion of us being set apart from other nations that coming through after the blood. So this we're all meant to be connected in a relationship. So it makes sense that He would have that. But I thought, it came pretty much like I didn't understand that he just pointed that out. I didn't understand. Yeah, the blood even have a law. I thought it came in pretty late. Even though it said it didn't understand, but not reading or the song were also in right way.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just bringing that out just because you really have people who will try to act like people that the Most High is only dealing with one specific people. This is pre-Israel. This is pre-Israel, but it's not even on the line. It's a whole other people. In fact, these people, end up being like enemies of Israel specifically. But down the line.
That's the only thing that Israel has outside of the other nations is this covenant that we made. That's the only other.
Well, it is kind of that's kind of a big thing. Like you can't really say.
That's the only thing. So it could seem like the only shows his face to Israel. That's not the only thing that Israel has over is that covenant. He didn't make a covenant with everything.
Yeah. I mean, but it is a big thing, though. It is a big
He
thing.
has done so much to keep that covenant. And I have expressed that to Christians. It's like, why do you all think that covenant is such a thing? I said, because God said He can't lie. So why would He go back and make that covenant with our people and then go back and turn around? Now, He's been plenty of instances where He's changed His mind, where when He said He was going to kill our people, and Moses convinced Him to do otherwise. And with the guy who fell on his knees, like to remind him all the things that He did for him, He changed his mind about killing him in that same hour. It's plenty of time with that covenant was a promise. So I feel like he has done so much to keep that covenant to where I feel like it's going to still stand. Like that is a big thing, you know. So, but as far as him dealing with the other nation, anytime you bring up instances in the Old Testament, like where he left other people, it's like, oh, he just spared them. But what does that mean for their eternal life? You know, their eternal home. So that right there just kind of like they keep the devil on the head, like even in the beginning, that he was still dealing with these other people. So that's just like a good thing to see for me. Because I don't never have no other place to explain. That was amazing.
Okay, so when we think about kind of what we was dealing with a little earlier, when we think about why Abraham was fearful, we look over in verse 7 where it says, and now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet. He is a prophet, it says over here. This word prophet is Navi, spokesperson, speaker, prophet. Let's see. Prophet or generally inspired man. It's kind of vague. You know, when we look at a prophet, if we just think about the examples of prophets in the scriptures, they're hearing from the Almighty, they're hearing from Yah, and then they're saying what they heard.
Are you saying a prophet is not a speak what God is telling you?
Yeah. And so in that we could know that the prophet hears from the Almighty. But again, when we think about what Abraham did over here, he wasn't acting based on his hearing. Because if he would have consulted with the Almighty, then he would have already known that this was a nation, at least that was ruled by a king who did indeed fear the Most High. I mean, we can see that when we look at even in the same verse. But if you do not return her, know that you shall certainly die, and you and all that are yours. If this is somebody who don't fear the Almighty, then so what if that's what the Most High got to say about it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we see that aspect is present there, but also what we see is the fact that Abraham was really operating in his carnality when he went and gave Sarah to the king. Because if he only would have just consulted the Almighty, then he would have known that he didn't have to even go through all of that.
I was just saying that was a sympathy because God probably had in his mind to know how beautiful she is, you know, they talk about life.
Yeah, but I don't know if it didn't necessarily have to be the enemy. It could have just been carnality. It could have just been a not consulting the Almighty.
Right. Yeah, that is true.
You know, we don't have to always say, well, it's Hasatan's fault. You know what I mean? It's the adversary.
You say, well, we don't always have to blame it on him.
No.
You remember that joke when it said, hey, y'all, you know, I heard a joke.
But it didn't have to be, though.
I heard a joke that y'all was walking down the street and saw Satan sitting in front of the congregation crying, right? So y'all asked him, Satan, what is you crying for? He said, man, I'm tired of you people blaming me for everything. So that goes to show you that sometimes the training wheels is taking off the bike. You don't have to do it no more. Because we programmed to do it.
Oh yeah, because he said we're good to believe when it come down to that.
Yeah, it's not like Hasatan's going around dropping evil thoughts in everybody's
I mean,
minds.
but he is like, I get it's a possibility. There's no possibility the whole time because he's the prince of the power of the air, so he has that ability to promote those thoughts in our minds. You know?
Yeah, but yeah, because it's just I gotta find it, but the scripture tells you that the heart of man is inherently evil, wicked. Like we don't need that outside influence for that. It's within you already because it's just selfishness. It was just that's just your animalistic nature, just selfish, where you want to just worry about the things that benefit you only, which when that's carried out looks like wickedness because you're not caring about what's going on with these other folks over over here. His selfishness was Abraham's selfishness was so strong even that he said, well, so they don't kill me, I'm gonna let them have my wife. Again, yeah. But I'm just saying what that is just really just selfishness.
You said he's rather save himself.
That's what I thought. Like, I said he was fearful.
Well, yeah. Yeah, because if he was dealing with a wicked person and then they know that it's his wife, well, I want her because she's so beautiful. I'm gonna have to kill you now. So to bypass all that, he say, well, it's my sister, so I don't gotta. You don't gotta kill me. You could just take her.
Why would you? He knew. Whatever the possibility they mind people kill. So I'm gonna like offer it up to
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but in his selfishness, I think we see our own. We're able to see our own selfishness. Maybe not in this particular area, but it's the same thing.
like how far would you go to save your own soul?
Yeah. Well, if we just think about it in the fact that we know that he's somebody who hears from the Almighty, but he's not allowing the Almighty to be his guide, right? He's just basing his carnal thoughts and letting his carnality be the thing that that's steering the ship over here, and that's the problem. So for him at that time, it looked like him giving his wife away, but for you, it could be something different.
That's like pride. I just got totally convicted.
I guess it's. I guess kind of all of these things kind of are all connected. If you think about selfishness and pride, they touch. They're connected to each other. But I think the key thing is that when we as believers in Messiah who um, have this ruach inside of us, we have to get to the place where we take full advantage of the gift that is given to us, being the ruach hakodesh, and consult the Almighty as we're going along, because he could have. I mean, nothing happened. Nothing happened. The Most High is able to seen his shortcomings well before, because when he left, it says he had to heal the people. He had to heal the people when he left. So the Most High already done plagued these people's wombs before he got there, right? So he made the provisions for the weaknesses of Abraham ahead of time. But that's Abraham, though. He might not always have it always set up for you like that. You know what I mean? So so we have to consult the Almighty. When we getting into these kind of situations, and not lean on our carnal minds, because the carnal mind gonna always make the thing look worse than what it really is.
Talking about that last night, yeah. Carnal man. Seeing in the carnal and the spiritual are two different things. I was with a friend of mine and happened to look at a woman, was built nice, and he shouted, "Oh my goodness, look at that body, don't she look good?" I said, "Weird." And what I saw was not what he saw. Always, I'll see the demonic spirit where he's seeing the carnal. I explain that to him all the time. That's why I always say, wake all the way up. Because this brother claims to be Israelite. You feel me? So of course I'll hit him with, you need me to take this cup of ice water and throw it on your face? I'll tease him like that. But that is very serious what he's talking about. When we see things in the carnal, it's always bad. It always gets worse. And it messes with our thoughts. It causes us to act sinfully. Because we feel that we need to either rebel or strike back.
Yeah. So again, when we look at this story over here, we see that the Most High did indeed make preparations for Abraham to fall. I was actually looking for this verse 13. I forgot where it was when we were some chapters back, whenever Abraham did this the first time. But in 13, it says, huh? Yeah, he did the giving his wife away thing before in Egypt. But in verse 13, it says, and it came to be when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house. So all the way back, whenever the Most High called Abraham out, it says, right? Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, this is your loving commitment that you should do for me in every place, wherever we go. Say of me, he is my brother. Well, she really was, but the point is that they had this plan from the beginning, that whenever they get into these situations, because she's so beautiful, we're just going to say that we're brother and sister and not husband and wife. It's not like something that he just thought of on the fly. It says in verse 13, when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house. That's all the way back at the beginning when they first left out. That this is what we're going to do when we get into sticky situations.
I mean, that was the act of skillfulness on the first part.
Yeah.
It was very selfish, don't get it?
But Yahweh allowed it.
Yeah.
To do that. Or maybe people did the same thing that he did before. He allowed him, God allowed him to have his wife live back in the. Well, I don't think it would have happened.
I wonder how many times
You saying-
I have to go into somebody who really said they say brother's wife.
You saying that the Most High allowed it because. Why you saying that? Why you saying you allowed it?
And he was just like he prevented a brother that was making that sin. I guess he allowed him, and Abraham did it from the very beginning of his life. Yahweh allowed him to to talk to them.
So what's that say about the whole situation? Then?
Because that's it to me.
Yeah.
I look at it that when it came to Abimelech, he judged Abraham, judged these people properly. Everybody might not want his wife. Maybe they do.
Well, they clearly did want his wife though. They just didn't know that it was. They wanted her. They wanted the woman, not to say that they wanted his wife.
What they have wanted this woman, Abimelech, I'm not talking about the ones before. What they have wanted this woman, had she would have been introduced into this wife.
They wouldn't have because they was a righteous people.
Okay.
But he was prepping them in case there were people who did not fear the Most High to be like, I don't care if this man brought me, I'm going to take her and kill him to get her. That's why he said he didn't think it's the fear of the Most High was going on.
Right, but the lesson, the whole point of following the lesson to me is you get their lesson without actually going through it. So you're supposed to basically sum it up in a nutshell, trust that the Most High is in control of our things. So you take his lesson without going through the same thing.
I think that the Most High. The Most High is making these provisions and having Abraham come out on top in spite of himself.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's not. This is not necessarily like it's a good thing. That's like allowed. Like he let him do it. It's the Most High is there for him. I think in spite of these decisions that he's making, that's obviously not good decisions.
Just made me think of my own situation. So my the job that I got at Subway, in the interview I told him my son would be here with me until he started daycare. But he don't know that because I don't want to go. In my mind, the daycare wasn't school. Like I felt like that. So he was up there with me every day until he started sleeping. He started coming with me after he got out of But the Most High made a way because he ended up putting me at another Subway downtown to where I could basically work on my schedule and say, okay, you come in from 8 to 3, and by the time I get home, he's already, I'm already at home, and he's on his way there, so he doesn't have to deal with me at all. So it kind of is like the exact same situation where I lied to get something, to get something that I wanted. Like he lied to preserve his life.
Yeah.
So, but the Most High was dealing with him in spite of what he said he did. Yeah. So that's kind of like the same. That's crazy.
Except we don't want to really find ourselves in situations where we bear false witness. Yeah, what I mean. I think it's these situations where only life threatening in Abraham's mind. Obviously this one, but we already know that the Most High, when we look at examples with Israel wasn't this big, huge nation that was bigger than all these places that was around it. The thing that made them be strong was the fact that they had the Most High with them. So the same thing is true, and again, we see whenever when Yahweh is sitting up here talking to the man and describing him, describing Abraham as a prophet, he's letting us know that he hears from the Almighty. So again, when we look at this situation, we're able to see that it's not good enough for us to be in a position where we're able to just hear from the Almighty, or just have the ability to hear from the Almighty, but we actually have to tap in and see what it is that he wants for us in our situation so that we don't have these missteps. like we see with Abraham. Um, Something that I never saw before, I never paid attention to, was verse 16. Verse 16. I'll just read. Yeah, same chapter, right? Yeah. To Sarah, he said, this is Abimelech. Well, 14. Abimelech then took sheep and ox and male, female servants and gave them to Abraham. He restored his wife to him, gave Sarah back. And then 15. Behold, my land is before you. Settle wherever you want. You can have all this stuff. You can have all whatever land you want. Go ahead, take it. But verse 16. Behold, I have given he said to Sarah, I have given your brother, he's talking about her husband,
Yeah, they still saying brother.
a thousand pieces of silver. Behold, it is your vindication before all who are with you, and before all men you are cleared. What does what do the King James say now right there?
Verse 18.
16.
Ooh, your phone is tiny. Oh, you can blow it up. You want me to read it?
Yeah. Is that the King James?
Yeah, this is the King James.
What is that?
Just 16?
Yeah.
And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a
Oh,
covering.
that's how that reads? Oh,
Yeah.
what? Oh, read that again?
Okay, I'm going to read it all over. And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces. Behold, he is to thee a covering of thy eyes unto all that are with thee, and with all other. Thus she was reproved.
Okay, good. Okay, what y'all think's going on with that verse right there, 16?
Man,
What did she say after that?
She don't say nothing.
she don't say nothing. He's just saying it,
She
right?
still holds the statement down.
Huh?
But she always was a little loose on the dress.
But I know, but it sounds to me.
Hold on,
cop
what?
and
What did you
plea.
say?
I asked, 'cause I couldn't make, I didn't want to say nothing, so I knew what she said afterwards. He said, she don't say nothing. I just was like, oh, she didn't really like her thing on this situation. She had to get in. And I said, she always focuses on her trust in God.
Oh.
But she ain't do nothing except hold her tongue from saying, that's
But
not.
she always was loose on her trust, even when she like laughed.
Yeah, when the angel told her she would have
That was
a
like
child.
doubt.
Yeah, but she was like, I ain't laughing.
Yeah, he laughed. Yeah, you lying. You know. But to me, I think he was just like copping a plea, man. Like, look, I ain't do nothing wrong. Take this, take that.
But he still
As you
said-
see,
But he still said, right? He still
yeah, I gave it to your brother. It might have been a hint of
She
sarcasm.
acted like she said your brother.
Yeah, because it might be a hint of sarcasm. Like, I know you lied to me, duh. So I gave it to your brother.
That's why I said he being funny.
Yeah, like,
But he said she was reproved. So you know, I feel like he was saying she was corrected.
She
Like,
didn't correct it. She's
Yeah.
still holding it down.
Holding what down?
Holding it down, that's only her brother.
that's like when I was being sarcastic with one brother, and he kept, and his superior showed up, and I kind of blasted him. So the brother and I was being sarcastic and said, as you can see, I'm like saying y'all pulling out y'all swords and cutting people up. Well, I just cut up your leader. I was being sarcastic. You know what I'm saying?
I think he just being funny at this point when he said, "Okay, give it to your brother." Like I know the nigga, I know what's something.
Right.
But it said
How
she
does
was
that
reproved.
how does that reprove her by him giving Abraham some money?
How does that what?
Reprove.
What's the what that mean?
It kind of
Correct.
Correction,
correct her.
rebuke,
Yeah.
correction.
Because she didn't say that was her.
She didn't go up and she didn't, correct her husband like he can't lie. She kind of went along with it.
Well, she had to go along with it because that's her head. And out of respect for him,
There's a lesson in that.
there is a lesson in that.
The fire was agreed together. Look what happened to them.
But then again, you gotta look at the beginning. Didn't man bring woman all the time? Didn't Adam bring Eve?
You don't have to.
So he blaming Sarah. I reprove you.
Regardless of who it is, this is the part where you should actually make the right decision.
Hey, you know, they told
Well,
me.
I don't think y'all seeing what was
I'm
happening.
saying, I
over
feel
there.
like he basically gave her that to kind of like, not only clear himself, and to clear him to like, y'all need to like, stay going around like this. I feel like when she was reproved, he corrected her like rebuked her, like, don't do that.
But how's he rebuking her by giving a gift to the man?
I think that he did that. I don't know. I just know he was, I don't think he's a good.
Boy, that's what it says. So you can't.
She did. He said she was reproved, but you see that word that mean he rebuked her.
You know what? It could be a form of releasement too. You know.
Right there, she was reproved.
Maybe she kind of felt
Here, look at this one over here. And unto Sarah, this is JPS. Behold, I have given thee thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, it is for thee a covering of the eyes to all that are with thee, and before all men thou art righted.
Because he said like he didn't touch her.
Well, he already said that, but they wasn't dealing with that.
He was basically doing like when they go out, people go there.
before all men are right. So that's like already like, is that like already saying when like going forth?
Yes, that's how we are.
There's going to be an automatic covering.
People don't know. They don't know. Yeah.
That's what it
An
sounds like.
automatic covering of eyes from what?
Like a spiritual, they don't know that that's his wife. They ain't gonna have to do that. Like, they ain't gonna have to lie like that no more. That's what I'm saying. Like, he basically goes around.
I mean, she gonna still be beautiful though.
Yeah, I'm saying they
Nobody's
don't
going to
know.
share her. Like, there's going to be some type of a covering on men that may
Like with Cain, the most I put they still.
Where's it gonna come from? Was it like a spiritual thing?
Kind of like with Cain. Like with Cain went out, the most
Nah.
they still over him. So couldn't nobody mess with him. I feel like that's the same thing. Like he put that on for like covering and protection. Like ain't nobody gonna come at you like that. That's why I feel like he gave it to like y'all need to fix that.
So he bought a spiritual blanket to cover.
He just gave that to them as an apology. You know, even though he didn't do anything that kind of wrong with anything, but he still like corrected by blessing him.
I think what happened over here is he gave Abraham this 1,000 pieces of silver for an expensive covering, right? So people won't sit up there and lust after her like he did.
What did she have on?
Huh?
What did she have on? Like somebody lust after her. That's
She
why
just
they-
was beautiful. She just was beautiful.
So what she walked around like this?
I don't know what she walked around in, but however she walked around, her beauty was able to be seen. What you think it is? What you think it is?
Yeah, I want to hear your input.
I don't think it's that.
He gave her that little thing and
I know, but what do you think that it is though?
I think that a covering on a spirit like now he bought the spirit. I'm not saying he bought a spirit. I'm not saying that at all. I'm thinking he's going to stand like he's just speaking into that. But as far as like there is going to be a covering on her, like how basically when he had her the night before, whatever, he didn't touch her. He didn't touch her. He didn't want to. Like it's not like his heart was touch her. For some spiritual thing stopped Rebecca from touching her. So I just think that.
Well, if he would have touched her anyway, he'd have been fornicating.
Right.
You know?
Something with his arrow out of him.
Y'all did.
It
Yes.
Well, that was prepping her.
But that don't have. But what happened last night don't have nothing to do with how he sent them away from him.
I think they talking about because I see them in today wearing them. You only see their eyes.
That's what I'm saying, that veil. Like, you
You
see
know,
her wearing
man,
like
that's after them because you only
her
see
clothes,
their
her
eyes.
beads, where it's not holding her curves, and all you can see are her eyes. That's why I'm saying that she have that veil. Like the act of Rebecca when the servant came up, she did this. You know? So I feel like that's what he propagated. Like you said, because of the eyes.
I think so too.
Interesting. I don't know no scripture to back
I don't
that
know
up.
what.
That a female's supposed to
But what it
her
looked
body,
like?
let her eyes be shut.
What it looked like, I don't know that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. Yes.
What it looked like, I don't know that.
So we can only speculate.
But whatever it was a covering to the eyes to all that are with thee. Before all men thou art writing.
Now,
So
say that again. It was a covering to the eyes to who?
to all that are with thee, that and before all men thou art writing.
For all men and those that are with you. It's a covering for them, for their eyes, so that they won't see, like he said, and make the mistake that he made. I can go with that. I can go with that. Yes, sir. I like that one too.
Yes, she had to have every part of her covered with her eyes.
I mean, we see this. It's the second time we see this thing going on with Sarah and her beauty, where her beauty is causing these other people to sit up here and want her so bad that they take her, and they and when we look at verse 13, Abraham knew this from the beginning, that this was going to be an issue. He knew her beauty was going to be an issue from Jump Street. And it seems to me that Abimelech is like, let me help you out over here, where you don't got to sit up here and have this problem and get jamming people up.
I mean, it's like years ago, I had a very close relationship with a woman for a long time. She was very beautiful, and everybody wanted her. And I would think to myself, dang, I'm gonna have to kill one of these dudes, man. I know it's gonna happen because they keep trying to holler at her and this and that. So I kind of understand where Abraham is, because for that to happen, man, Sarah had to be drop dead, come to life gorgeous, so to speak. And everybody would want her like that. Even dude that was a ruler of the land. She had to be a looker, man.
She was old too. She was an old lady.
She wasn't no spring chicken.
No, she was old.
Yeah, she was old, but she wasn't.
It wasn't about no spring nothing.
She wasn't no spring chicken. Okay, so.
She was just old. It wasn't even about her not being a spring chick. She was literally an old lady. That was beautiful in every way. So much so that
Because she had kids and everything, and she didn't quite either. So her body was still, she still had her youthful eyes. So when we have kids, our body kind of sweet. So she didn't have kids yet. She still
They probably got you back then. They probably want to go on like,
yeah, but even with our skirts, you can tell. Even with our skirts, you can tell like our youthful body.
and we'll call back.
I was looking at that.
In case you call back, I'm gonna wait a while. See if we do call back.
Yeah. All right, so let's see here.
People in the father see the man.
I still think there was a lot though.
Let's look over here at Does anybody have any, before we go to the next, does anybody have any thoughts or questions or comments about chapter 20? All right, let's look real quick at the next chapter, chapter 21. Let's just look at this few verses at a time over here. Let's see. I want to look at I want to go down. I actually want to go down to verse. Let's see, verse 1 of 21. Yahweh visited Sarah as he has said, and Yahweh did for Sarah as he has spoken. So Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the appointed time of which Elohim has spoken to him. And Abraham called his name, the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yitzhak, or Isaac, which means laughter. It means laughter, he laughs, or mockery also. Oh, here it is. Mockery. Yitzhak. Okay. Let's see. So verse 5, now Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah said, Elohim has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. Let's drop down to 8, where it says, and the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Yitzhak was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Mitzrayim, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. And this, by the way, is the same word as Isaac's name. Well, it's the root of his name. Tzachak. Yitzhak is he laughed. And then this is the root here, Tzachak, which is to laugh or to mock or to play. But so verse 10, so she said to Abraham, drive out this female servant and her son, for the son of this female servant shall not inherit with my son, with Yitzhak. So I was just thinking about um, it says that the son of Hagar was mocking or playing or laughing. So it's one thing to be laughing or playing like young people typically do. Um, it's another thing to be mocking.
Mocking is making fun of that. Oh, what's something funny?
Yeah, but right, it's a different thing, but it's the same word.
Mocking's like negative.
Right. But in the Hebrew, I'm saying it's the same word.
So it wasn't negative.
I'm saying it could have been or it couldn't have been.
What she did, she mocked God.
It could have been laughing, it could have been mocking, it could have been playing, could have been positive, could have been negative. You don't get that from the Hebrew. It's giving you the word where it has those meanings. And then we see how she reacts to it. But whatever it was, she was just completely done. But I was thinking about the fact that it's interesting that the thing that Ishmael was doing is the namesake of Isaac. And then also we see where it says, "For the son of the female servant shall not inherit with my son."
Well, he wasn't a promised son anyway.
Well, he wasn't.
This is why it's
He wasn't. Well, he wasn't the promised son. But what I'm saying is that whatever the thing is that he was doing,
terminally some type of even
well,
share.
I'm saying that the thing that he was doing was Isaac's name, like it was what his name was, which is mocking or laughter. If I'm laughing, maybe I'm laughing, but I'm laughing at you. I could be mocking you, pointing,
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but it could just be laughing. But what I'm saying is that he is doing this thing that is the namesake of Isaac. And whatever it is, whether it was literal mocking or just laughing, at this point, Sarah was just totally over this thing and was like, these people got to go.
What said the matter was very evil that Abraham was nothing.
What was very evil?
What says the matter? What matter was evil?
You saying the matter is what? The mocking?
The matter was very evil.
I know what it says. What are you saying the matter is?
I'm asking you, what's the matter?
I'm saying the matter is that his son got to go away.
But that's what it was.
That's what I think it is, yeah.
And the matter was very evil in the eyes because of
And then in 2012 says, but Elohim says, let it not be evil in your eyes because of the boy and because of your female servant. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. For in Yitzhak, your seed is called. So the matter wasn't what Ishmael was doing. The matter, his son is getting kicked out.
the son got to go.
And then the Most High's like, just get over it. It's not evil. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but so we see this thing happening over here where it literally was his first child was and I always think about how it talks about Reuben in Genesis 49. I can just go there, 49 and 3.
about the blessing of the firstborn.
Okay, so verse 3 of chapter 49, you are my firstborn, my power, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of exaltation, and the excellency of power. All of this stuff here that he's saying is all kind of just matter of fact of um, what a firstborn is. But Reuben obviously didn't get the blessing of the firstborn. But it still don't take away from 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 a physical perspective what the firstborn is. So all of these things over here can be said really about um, Ishmael. Time his seed was able to break through and make a baby was with Ishmael. He was the beginning of his literal strength. And then so the Most High was saying, "No, I didn't ever tell you to go do it like that in the first place. That don't even count."
That's the first introduction of polygamy when she was like that was never like something we was upon. She was the first one to do that.
But he shows that throughout the scripture how negative that is with all the different seeds you bear with women. It's always some type of negative kickback. It was a negative kickback with Jacob and the kids with the sister that he didn't really love. He loved Rachel.
Yeah.
It's a negative kickback because what the brothers
Hold on, what's a negative kickback?
just having just being careless with your seed. He did what Sarah told him to, but that's not what he was told by his dad. The lady with Hagar had that kid.
Oh, but I know, but you can't say that Jacob was careless though.
I mean, he was tricked.
No, what I'm saying is like a multiple, like just remember he had kids with every time he had kids with Leah. Like it was like a back and forth,
Yeah.
like it was like, oh, you're cute myself. Like it was like
Yeah.
it was all mess. Like it was
Yeah.
messy.
Well, I think that the problem is that as human beings, culture or not, we get jealous. So I mean, that's just something that to me I always felt like, I mean, you can have, like still talking about Jacob, you can have these other wives and hands and maid servants, but something's going to bring you back to something's always going to bring you back, right? And Leah was that one. I'm just saying, Leah was the one. She might not have been the literal favorite, but she had the most babies, right? Leah did. So, well, yeah, it do cause problems, but I just don't think I don't think I don't think that wasn't him just being reckless with his seed. But see, that's where it's different though, because I think that over here, and then now he has to feel the consequences of this thing, where the all of these things that you could say about a firstborn, he can't think about his literal firstborn in that way, because he didn't consult the Mosaic first. He just was like with the carnality again. Oh, this is how we could do it. There's no way you could have a baby. We'll use your maidservant. Nice. If he would have consulted the Most High, he would have.
That was the first introduction of polygamy to me because it was like never been presented in the scripture until she did it. He didn't even want it, he just did it just because
Well, it was definitely a cultural thing. Not to say that it wasn't something that people did, and even the reason why they did it was the reason why they would culturally do it. Rich people might have more than one, but certainly those who were barren would have one so that you could have a baby. So they did all the things that people do. But according to what the Most High is saying for to happen, that's how they went outside, and that's why again we look over here where he's dealing with the consequences of that.
she didn't want to wait.
That's still on right now. A lot of people won't trust in the Most High. They put their trust in surrogate. They put their because they have been without for whatever reason. So it's like regardless if that was a culture thing, that's people putting their hands in. That's people putting their hands in God's God. It goes on right now.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it's not really regardless. It really is a cultural thing. That's what that is. That's what they culturally did. We look at it in a way outside of that culture.
Right.
So we looking at it a certain way. But at the same time, it was him not again consulting in the Most High and going outside of the perfect will of what the Almighty wanted for him to do, and so as a result of that, there's consequences that he got to sit up here and just send off his. At this point, he's older. At this point, you know what I mean. They probably was going hunting and all of doing all kind of stuff together. Where now he gotta just say bye. But it's most definitely him not trusting in the Almighty to perform this miracle. It from a carnal perspective, it seems crazy because they was both old.
I believe it took her so long to conceive of the fact that she laughed. Like, man, you not laugh like the way you did. You just trusted the fact that it could happen for you. You couldn't have to wait so long.
Yeah.
You know
And she was
what?
acting out her emotions anyway. Like she wanted to please him by giving him a child, and she couldn't do it.
Right.
She went and got somebody who could.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
Now, the scripture does tell us that there is no new thing under the sun. I sit down sometime and I contemplate the way the world is today. And I think and I look back from what I was reading in the scriptures. Man, Israel had to be wicked as heck. I mean, just think how hard it was back then, man. Y'all only found a few people in these families that was righteous, while everybody else was so corruptible. Then you understand why the scripture says, narrow and straight is the road that leads to eternal life, and it's hard pressed. See, people forget that. It says it's hard pressed. It's not easy, and only few finds it. So I think about back in those biblical days, in the era of ancient days, it was so hard. Look at the days of Noah. God was getting ready to destroy everything until he saw Noah. He found one wise in his family and saved his family. Look at Lot. He took Lot out of there and destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Only few finds it. That is the key thing that people got to understand, because wide and broad is the road that leads to destruction. And the scripture says there are many that walks on it. So if there's many that walks on it, then that's an easy path. In the minds of our people, I call sheeple, they love to take the easy over the hard press. No one's being persecuted in the name that the world loves. See, people don't understand that. When you get into like the deeper things in the nook and cranny of the scriptures, and you walk in the Ruach, your eyes is open and you become to see things. It's like putting on those glasses in that movie, They Live. We see things that others do not, which separates us. Not just wearing the tassels and stuff that separates us from the world, because my sister-in-law put it in my mind, and I do agree with her, that the laws is written in our hearts. But back in the biblical days, before that was done, we was commanded to wear tassels so that we can be reminded of such laws and covenant. But you got to understand, even at that time, Israel broke the covenant and commandments while wearing the tassels and fringes. So those things right there alone does not save you where people actually believe that. The laws is written in your heart. You know, not saying that don't wear them or nothing. Yeah, wear them because it says wear them. But also understand that the laws are written in your heart. And people need to take that in consideration.
And moreover, I think that the thing is, especially when we look at what we see with Abraham, is that we have to actually be able to hear and listen to the spirit that's inside. I'm
Right.
saying hear and listen, Shema. I'm saying actually do the thing that you're hearing.
Right,
Not just that you hear the Most High talking to you,
right.
but that you actually doing the things that He's having for you to do. Because, you know, when we look at what we're looking at in terms of Abraham, the problem wasn't that he didn't have a connection with the Almighty. Of course, he had a connection with the Almighty. But all of the mistakes that we see him make is when he's not dealing with the Almighty, he's dealing with his own carnal mind. And you know, if there was, you know, that's the single problem that every single one of us has, is that, you know, what is the thing that is leading and guiding us? Is it our carnality or is it the Ruach? We can see examples of that we just actually looked at when Abraham obeyed his carnal mind. If he would have ignored his carnal mind and consulted the Almighty, he wouldn't be over here in verse
16. 16, I read.
it's verse
Close.
12.
Well, yeah.
He wouldn't have to have the Most High saying to him, "Let it not be evil in your eyes."
Let it not be evil. Wow.
He wouldn't even have to be going through none of that stuff. Most High didn't protect him from that,
Yeah.
because that had to have been the hurt piece right there,
Right.
and he had to feel all of that. Most High said, "Nah,
No. Yeah.
it might feel a little bad. Just suck it up.
Suck it up.
It's not evil.
Get up.
It's not. However it is that you feel about it, don't feel that way about
Yeah,
it."
don't feel that way.
That's what he just said. But all of that could have been avoided if he would have consulted the Almighty first. Like even what he's doing right here. Even what's going on right here. Like it hurts so bad. Father, please, like, nah, let that thing just go away. Do what she said. Do. You shouldn't listen to her in the first place. So now, guess what? Go ahead and listen to her now.
You know, but hey, that puts me in the remembrance. You know, as a father corrects his child, y'all corrects us, so to speak. And it's so funny because me and my mother, we have a strong bond, but is everything kosher all the time? No, we fall out all the time. And I know you two fall all the time. I quit you. I'm back to you. I'm quit you. I'm back to you. So it's okay. But my mother had called me the other night, called herself making amends, and it's so funny because I told her, I knew you would call. It's only a matter of time because you love me, you know, just like I love you. I said, but every time something like that happened in the carnal, I take it to spiritual, and I always involve y'all in it. And I'm like, that's just how y'all go. Look, he can't go back on his word. Yeah, he loved us. Yeah, he punished us, but he promised our forefathers with an oath that he's going to give us a land, and he's going to see to it that it's going to happen. But in the process, yes, he's going to punish us because we hurt him. You get it?
Yeah.
Yes. And we get hurt too. Come on, Chris. I know many times you wanted to strangle someone that broke your heart. You may have not. If you haven't experienced it, hallelujah. But I know I have. But in the event of me loving them, I didn't go forth and do that. I abandoned them for a while, in a form of divorcing them for a while. Later on down the line, I reconcile because I love them. You understand? That's why this whole Bible thing is a love story between y'all and us.
And I think that when we look at Abraham and we see how, you know, his life is, the mistakes that he made, the road that he took to get to the place where the Most High was taking him to, you know, it wasn't an easy road.
No, it wasn't.
He had some serious, you know, real life things that he had to face. Mistakes that he made, and all of that. And you know, when we see, I say this all the time, you know, if your life is perfect, then you probably engross iniquity.
Say that again.
I said, if your life is perfect, you probably engross iniquity.
So in other words, if your life is easy, you on that broad road to destruction.
We talk about like our whole transition and just how great that testimony can be when it's there. Like who wants to have boring stories or anything? Who wants to hear a boring story about struggle?
Right,
It's
right.
boring. I'm sorry. Like you know, if there's everything is
Can't nobody relate to the person.
yeah, like
If you can't relate to it,
like,
it's
what is
boring.
the struggle in that story?
It is
Like,
boring.
you know what I'm saying? How do it show? Like, how do you see the growth in that? Like, that story's boring. That story's black.
And you know what, Monet? It's funny you said that, Monet, because a long time ago, before I was even in the truth, I used to read Christian books when I was in jail. I used to love listening to the stories about them stealing diamonds and doing all these corruptible things. And once the books start coming and the transformation of Jesus stuck in my life, I threw the book down. I ain't want to read the rest of it. You understand? I would read all the actions of it until they get up to that point. Wow, this book ain't good no more. I'll throw it down because I didn't understand. You know, I didn't understand such transformations. You know? So yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Well, that don't mean we gonna go out here and chase some action and nothing like that.
No.
We don't gotta make our situation
Worse, I ain't gotta make it
any
worse.
worse than it has to be. But I'm just saying that it's not an easy road.
No, it's not.
There's things that come, and there's self-inflicted things that come that we see right over here with the father of the faith, Abraham. But the thing is that this we have this record here that helps us to be able to learn these lessons where we don't have to make the mistakes that our forefathers made.
Right.
It's not like we sitting up here, we're not making the road. The road's already made. We don't have to sit up here and go and do the same things that they did because they already did it. We got it in the testimonies right over here, and we can look and see and learn how not to go that route.
Even though a lot of people that even Yahweh, even though that mistake he made, listen to his wife. Yahweh, I think it's in verse 12. So you know, don't let that be evil. Don't think it's evil. Listen to her, and in the end, he said the third thing, his son Ishmael in the mother. So even though he made him a great nation, it wasn't gonna be like Isaac.
Yeah.
She said it just depends about the situation because you know when you kicking your kids out with nowhere to go, like it's just like you worry and you under stress. So the most I gave her peace about the situation. Like, look, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it. You know, make sure he's a great nation too because that's a lot to take in your mind. Like I have to keep my son out in the world and I can't provide them. I really have to put my child off and no resources from myself. So I really truly believe that because it was purpose behind that. It was purpose behind it, but it's still like the mind frame of the situation. Like, yeah, but I still feel like he gives me her peace about it. Like you have to understand, like how could you, the first time.
I mean, I'm not looking at it from the emotional aspect. I'm looking at it from reality life, the spiritual aspect. Like even though he wasn't, his birth wasn't intended, it wasn't planned by the Most High. Right. It still served purpose. Right. So of course he's going to push him away. Like he's my son. I've been detached from him, but like you said to him, like it's serving a purpose.
Y'all don't know emotion. That's our thing.
Right.
He's not that emotion. That's us. We don't know our emotion. It is just that's our regular emotion. You don't have an emotion attachment.
It's easy to say that while you're not in an emotional situation, but let you be in the middle of something and then Chris be like, just get over it. What you gonna be like? Let's get over it. Just turn that off.
I know
Most High is an emotional being. I just don't understand why people say that about the Most High. He's emotional.
Well, I'm saying
he's emotional.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that there's just a human factor that you just can't it's not like a switch that you could just turn off. It's easy to say, and it's true what she's saying, but I'm saying that I'm agreed. I agree with what she's saying because his emotions are they're trivial, like they'll fool you. Right? Emotions, you'll get jammed up about some emotions. But all I'm saying is that as a human being, it's real. It's definitely real.
But I'm saying how y'all look. I'm not saying how we make it feel. I'm not saying that. I said he don't do it. That's emotion, not him. That's our thing. So our thing.
That's why I believe that's why y'all ain't comfort him and let him know, don't worry. You know, you gonna have it.
With a bread and he took a piece of bread. I don't know how much bread it was. A skin of water. We know it's just a skin of water, but we don't know how much bread it was. But if whatever it was just a skin of water.
That's what the KJV said. So when I read that, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Just take little sips.
It was right in there. She said, hey, don't let this my child die.
That's where I get from because I don't want to be in that situation. So that's the lesson I get from. It's not about what I like to do. No, I want to send my kid away. But what would I have to do to not do?
Right.
That's what I get.
And so we have to be able to look at these things and be able to look at what they did and realize what he must have been going through when he had to sit up here and do this and let that be a lesson to you.
Somebody's mom, somebody's dad was like half righteous in the kingdom or something, but the woman who had kids with was from a different nation, and she wasn't never. Like they be having her own Hagar, like had her own set of values and stuff. You don't know what she was like putting it to her son. It's because Abraham is like righteous and you don't know what Hagar was. That's still her son too. So you don't know when she had her bonding time. What type of
well, in Abraham's house is one thing, but once they got out of the house, she probably reverted back to the ways. But in Abraham's house, they wasn't gonna be on no.
No, I'm not saying it was not the same thing. It was not the same thing. It was in his house. It was something that was connected with his kid. and his wife and his house.
Well, we see one of the reasons why Abraham was even chosen, because it says that the Most High, I knew that you would teach your children. We able to know what we know about the Most High because it got passed down and started from him, and that was one of the reasons why he was even chosen in the first place, because the Most High knew that how he would keep his house.
Yeah, I don't think that he was. I believe he was teaching them, but I don't know what. Like being a mother myself, I don't know what type of effect Hagar could have still had on her son, still her son. Not saying she was like worshiping on the her saying she was that. I don't know what she could have been doing with her son, even for it to be a mom and her in there that made. Like I don't know what Hagar could have been.
It's hard to make parallels between what you might do and what they do because of the cultural differences, right? It's it's a whole other world and thought process that they moved on. Where if we take 2019 Monet and put you back there, you know, I don't know what might happen, but the reason being is because of the culture difference, right? They operated, differently. But I think when we look over here, we see that even though, even if we say that Hagar had her own ways about her that she held on to from where she came from while she was out on her way, the Most High still heard from her and helped her while she was, out there. Um, so okay, let's see.
I want to make the point that
Yeah,
the reason why Abraham was so he was in the house with his father, they was out of his house. So maybe that's why Yahweh chose the Lord and he was gonna serve him and teach his family because I don't know if I could have did it because he was in a house with his father they were out of worship. Out of worship.
yeah. It wasn't a it's not something that we have to think about to know why Abraham was chosen. The scripture literally tells us. Um, we see some, I don't want to say minor, we see some kind of hiccups in his situation, but he's, in spite of his moments of his lack of faith in these moments, we see that he's still moving forward. And again, these are the things that we have to try to be able to look at and see, for our own selves, and understanding that, we most certainly are going to come across some things that are hard. Some will be self-inflicted, some won't be. But when we're able to uh, continually move forward, is really what we want to be able to try and do. We should expect bumps and bruises and trips and falls, but we still have to be able to move forward and look to the Most High, who that's where our help comes from. We can know that whenever we don't listen to that little carnal voice that we hear in our mind that tells us things that are comfortable, the easy road. It's not always the best road. The way that feels the best is not always the best way to go. We have to be able to consult the Almighty, um, and and He'll hear and lead us where we need to go. What was you gonna say, Monica?
Oh, now we just want to say, I was on a church the other day when I was coming home from work that has been a running theme of this season in my life. To not look back, not listen to that part of the common voice, not always, because typically I'm a person that way. I feel like there's kind of like an opposition or like an uncomfortable situation that kind of run, and I don't like stand. I don't maintain my faith in those times. Like and know that He got me in this for me. So I think that even coming to Shabbat every Saturday, the consistent things that I've gotten in my life is what you just said, like going to that home voice and just keep looking forward. Instead of always looking back and looking at the past, like I made a joke, like if I was Lot's wife, I would have been the color soul. Because I'm always looking back, dwelling on the things I've lost or things that I've missed, opportunities, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah. It's interesting, this life that we live. But I think the closer you get to the Almighty, the more appealing the things of the Almighty become, and the less appealing the world becomes. I guess there's a little place, in the scope of development where you kind of miss doing this or that, or wonder about what would happen if I was still doing this, or about these things that you used to do. But I think the closer you get to the Almighty, the further you get away from the world, and the less appealing it becomes.
That is true.
Where those things at some point won't have a pull on you anymore, right? The things, it might be some new things that come along, but the old things that you left behind, we should get to the place where those things can't draw us back anymore, right?
You know what? You're absolutely right, because since my awakening, I be getting on people's nerves, which I really don't know. And I have to remind them, if you see me going all the way scripture with you, let me know if I'm bothering you. Because I'll get around family members and they'll say something like, every time I'm around you for a while, you always talking about the Bible. You always fake. I said, well, that's happened when you wake all the way up. I can't help it. They don't like watching movies with me, and I don't blame them, because I'll sit there and I'll say everything through the whole movie. Oh, that's saying that. That's showing that. They don't see what I see. I'm like, no. You might not want to. You might not want to be with me then.
You need to get a notepad.
That's understandable.
Get you a notepad and write it down.
I am learning, Jonathan, to hold my tongue. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better. But at first, when it was all new to me and everything was explosive, of course I would jump like, oh, snap. I see that now. Because I was excited. They don't understand that. I was like a little kid opening up a pagan gift for Christmas. You want to show everybody. Look what my mama bought me. Well, that's how I feel. Look what my daddy opened my eyes to. But as I get more mature in it, I learn how to tone. I'm not 100%, but I'm progressing.
Progress. Okay. All right. It's I think we're gonna go ahead and go shut it down for today.
So let them know we won't be live next week because of the prison ministry.
Tirsa's still gonna do the women's thing. Yeah, we won't have our regular Torah portion next week. It will be the women's meeting. Tirsa will put together something wonderful for the
Your
ladies.
sisters.
And so, until then, we will say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family. Have a y'all one.